I'm sorry, but if you think we unironically need to ban Minecraft Steve or Kazuya from competitive Smash in tournaments, then you're kind of an idiot, and let me tell you why. Hey, let's take a look at some examples of characters that probably should have been banned in previous Smash games so we can have a greater understanding of how we've handled those previous situations and why those characters were ban-worthy in the first place. Both Brawl Meta Knight and Bayonetta were characters that very clearly dominated the metagame, to varying degrees of severity maybe, but the important thing is that these were both characters that not only made a lot of players quit, but were both characters that the community did not ban in competitive tournaments. I mean, truly, the results just speak for themselves. Bayo and Meta Knight took up minimum half of the top 8 for every Smash Major by the end of both games' lifespans, so it's really no wonder tons of players decided to quit the game. Hey, editor Deventerous here, just saying that this statement is actually slightly inaccurate. Most top 8s for Smash 4 usually only had like maybe 2 to 3 Bayonettas in it, but for Meta Knight on the other hand, yeah, no, he pretty much dominated like every top 8. Look, playing against these characters normally already wasn't fun to begin with, and the meta shifted in a way where you had no choice but to learn the matchup or play the characters yourself, since they had very little counterplay if you were playing a different character most of the time outside of a few exceptions. Hence why these characters should have been banned. They were deteriorating the health of the meta, making the player base quit, and generally speaking, having a character overwhelmingly dominate the meta of a game just isn't fun, and you can tell that most of these top players really weren't having fun, and the excitement for new tournaments was just at an all-time low for both games. I mean, you know it's bad when people are cheering for whoever's playing Cloud in Smash 4 out of their sheer hatred for Bayo, and Cloud is broken too! The main things these two characters have in common is that their most effective and dominating strategies revolve around camping, and overall just playing in the most degenerate way possible to frustrate their opponent by forcing them to chase them around the map, since their characters have better mobility than the rest of the cast and have better punish games, so if they hit you, it was going to hurt a lot more than when you hit them. Overall, it's just not fun for whoever's fighting those overpowered characters, which is why everyone resorted to picking them. It's a lot easier to win a fighting game when the character you pick simply doesn't play by the same rules all the other characters abide by. Now let's fast forward a bit to present day. Now we're having similar conversations being had about Minecraft Steve and Kazuya, but I think there's some key elements that people aren't recognizing when discussing the ban-worthiness of both of these characters. One of the main comparisons being brought up about Steve is him being similar to Bayo, and honestly, I thought this comparison was pretty absurd at first. Bayo inherently has significantly less weaknesses than Steve in general, and isn't dominating the meta in the same way that she was, so it didn't make any sense to me. On paper, if Steve were to be as broken as Bayo, then you would think they would be dominating the meta in a similar fashion. That was the main conclusion I had come to when first thinking about this comparison. In the end though, I think I may have slightly misunderstood why this comparison was being made so often. Yes, from a meta standpoint, Steve isn't anywhere near as prevalent as Bayonetta, but the real similarity comes in how these two characters are designed and how their gimmicks change how both players play the game. See, the original Bayonetta games are wild, fast-paced action games with a heavy emphasis on combos, so the character was designed with her source material in mind, which is exactly why she ended up so overpowered in Smash 4. Meanwhile, Minecraft is pretty much the polar opposite in this regard, but the building mechanic is what really makes Steve unique in this cast of characters. Sakurai literally said himself that he had to rework all of the stages in the entire game just to function for this new mechanic. I gotta say, regardless of how you feel about the building mechanic in Smash, you can't deny that Sakurai probably put way too much effort and time and thought into making the building mechanic actually function for Smash in a way where it's not entirely broken. So, I mean, we just gotta appreciate Sakurai, man. We love you, bro. Anyways, the entire point of me saying this is that the way Bayonetta and Steve's movesets are both designed allows them to play by their own rules, and everyone else just kind of has to play their own game, which is why they feel so similar to a lot of players in that regard. They kind of have a little bit of deja vu. As much as I think the timeline of Minecraft Steve being banned in Smash tournaments to be absolutely hilarious, I don't think he deserves to be banned. Yet. I'm not going to deny that the building mechanic allows Steve players to just camp with 3 blocks in front of them so they can mine materials. Yeah, it's annoying to deal with, but it's not an unbeatable strategy either. Despite tons of players dropping Smash 4 near the end of its lifespan, the players that did remain ended up getting really good at the matchup and were even able to form some counterplay against her, and Meta Knight was pretty much the same story, even though he was a lot more broken than Bayonetta was, in my humble opinion, of course. The community had years of playtime to figure out those matchups, and we're allowed some breathing room to take a step back and recognize the flaws in those characters, however little they were, and they capitalized on them. In the grand scheme of Smash, Kazuya and Steve are both pretty new characters, and their metagames are being developed very quickly by a select few players, so the idea of banning either of these two characters would just be jumping the gun way too fast. I mean, when you really think about it, we haven't even really had much time to study or get good at any of these matchups yet, since these characters are still relatively new in the time frame that Ultimate has been out, you know? Neither character is overtaking the metagame. Akola, for one, is just a stupidly amazing player and isn't getting enough credit for being as good as he is at only 15 years old. And on the other hand, Riddles is just a phenomenal Kazuya player, and T is also another amazing Kazuya player, and both of them have just been pushing Kazuya's like punish game to the next level.
The trip into the electric.
Yep, the nair.
Oh
my God! Did Riddles just start off a set against a top 2 player with a 3-stock?
I mean, yeah, sure, Steve and Kazuya both have plenty of cheese, but so do plenty of other top tiers in the game as well. And Smash overall is just kind of a cheesy game. Like, there's really no other way to get around it. And so I don't really think that's enough reason for them to get banned. Like, if you want to ban top tiers for being cheesy, then we should have to ban Joker and Pikachu and all these other top tiers that also have cheese, you know? It's kind of weird logic. Like, in comparison to Bayonetta and Meta Knight, I don't think either of these characters are really all that bad at all. Again, I will repeat, both characters have annoying mechanics that make comebacks easy for them and have insane punish games, but in the end, both still have weaknesses that we have yet to take full advantage of. I hope you guys know for that shot that I just did that I had to clean up my entire bed just to get that, so y'all wouldn't make comments about it, okay? I cleaned my bed for you, so be thankful. If we stifle the metagame this early on, then this could set a bad precedent in the future, and we could potentially get to a point where we simply ban characters because we don't like them. Obviously, this is not the same thing, but setting this kind of example could lead to that type of behavior if we don't allow ourselves to learn how to fight these characters or these matchups. Hindsight is a beautiful thing, so I hope above all else that we learn from our previous mistakes. If either Steve or Kazuya's metagame advance to the point where players are not having fun, then we need to ban them, plain and simple. But we still gotta give ourselves some time before we can jump to any conclusions and make some decisions that we will regret later on. If I'm being real though, none of the characters ain't shit compared to Virgil. Don't get me started on that fucking character.